How's it going, everyone? It's Sinatra here and welcome back to another video on the channel. A racing series that has made so many MotoGP riders get to the elite premier class of motorcycle racing is this.
1 lap to go here, and they're rubbing fairies on the grass nearly. That was incredibly tight indeed. Oh, they're all down! They're all down! The superb stuff from Angel Paqueras can connect one. He's part of the second. He's going! Yes! It's Dennis! No, they're killing it! No, it's not! No, Brian done it again, and Dennis can't believe it.
But what is this racing series and why so many MotoGP riders make it to MotoGP by racing in this Red Bull Rookies Cup? Well, we'll be diving into that very question and why Red Bull Rookies Cup for me is not only the most amazing, incredible racing talent cup series in motorcycle racing, but for me, it's probably one of the best racing series probably out there in motorsport. For new viewers or people that have never heard or have seen this racing series before, let me dive into what is Red Bull Rookies Cup. Red Bull Rookies Cup is a racing series to help develop young up-and-coming talent so they can learn their skills and develop as a rider. Not only to help them prepare to make it to MotoGP, but also to be a professional motorcycle rider. All the riders in Red Bull Rookies Cup are between the ages of 14 to 17 and have never raced in MotoGP. They've came through other Talent Cup series to get into Red Bull Rookies Cup. The rider gets a maximum of 3 years in Red Bull Rookies Cup. So after 3 years, let's say for instance, you win the Red Bull Rookies Cup Championship, you might promote yourself into getting to Moto 3 or find another racing series to go into. The bikes that the Red Bull Rookie Cup riders use are KTM RC 250cc R bikes, and all the riders in the Red Bull Rookies Cup all have the exact same bike, so all of them will be riding these bikes. And with these bikes, they can't make any modifications. They can't change the swing arm, change chassis, change engine, change nothing apart from maybe gearing or their riding style to adapt to the bike, or just their style that they are comfortable riding with. This puts more emphasis on riding style, puts more emphasis on adapting obviously to the bike and tweaking obviously to your style to your bike. And also it's really good and development in terms of a rider, because let's say if they move up to Moto 3, move up to Moto 2 and MotoGP, they may actually need to change their style, adapt their style to a different bike in MotoGP, in Moto 3 and Moto 2, for example. So this is actually a really important for Red Bull Rookie Cup riders in the future when they do make it up the ladder to be a professional motorcycle rider, and especially to get the dream in MotoGP rider. The schedule for a Rookie Cup rider is you have 2 races a weekend, one on a Saturday after the MotoGP sprint race, and it's the first race on a Sunday before Moto 3, Moto 2 and MotoGP. And it's not like MotoGP or Moto 3 or Moto 2 where they have a massive calendar and they go around the world, for example. No, all the races in Red Bull Rookies Cup are in Europe, and is only 7 rounds during a season. They do ride on the same weekend as MotoGP, but are limited in terms of rounds than Moto 3, Moto 2 and MotoGP. The selection process in Rookies Cup is very hard and at times challenging. Why is this? Because they have to go and do an online application. They need to be born during specific dates, which is January the 1st of 2007 and March the 31st, 2011. Then a selection committee reviewed the application that the riders sent, from race results to where they finished in the Talent Cup Championships, riders' background and personality. Then approximately 100 riders are selected at a selection event. Based on the performance of this selection event, 26 Red Bull Rookie Cup riders will be riding in the Rookies Cup that season. So that is the Red Bull Rookies Cup. That is the schedule, that's the bikes that they ride, the age limit, the selection event, plus many other things. But like I said at the start of the video, why do so many MotoGP riders come from Red Bull Rookies Cup and make it to MotoGP? And it's because, number one, they're being exposed in the MotoGP paddock to Moto3 teams, to Moto2 teams, MotoGP teams in the future will be looking at the current Rookies Cup riders and thinking maybe that is one superstar kid that might make it in MotoGP in the future. There are some obviously with Moto3, there are riders currently in Moto3 that will probably promote themselves into Moto2 next season, and then obviously there's going to be spots filled for Moto3. That's obviously the first thing Moto3 teams will be doing, is looking at the crop of talent that's in Rookies Cup, and then they will think this kid's good, he's got talent, he suits our team, and he gets that seat into a Moto3 team. Second is these Red Bull Rookie Cup riders are learning the high skill demands of racing, learning their qualities and their skills, and taking on all that information and having some of the most amazing top class professional coaching in Rookies Cup, making them a better rider, making them just better overall, and it's helped them into Moto3 and adapt a lot easier to Moto3 Championship, Moto3 paddock and everything, to single-handedly take them to Moto2 and obviously the promised land that is MotoGP. Number 3 is financial. The reduced financial issues helps the riders go racing. Because motorsport is such an expensive sport, and especially motorcycle racing, Red Bull Rookies Cup, single-handedly just shows the rider the talent, and it gives the rider a platform to use their talent and show their talent out there for all the people to see. And if they see and they think he's a good rider or she's a good rider, then you've got a real future of really going into the MotoGP in the future. And number 4 is it's a stepping stone to get into Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP. Obviously, speaking of MotoGP and other racing series, there are so many Rookies Cup riders that have came from Rookies Cup, have made it to MotoGP, not only went on to be MotoGP race winners, podiums, pole positions, but have went on to be MotoGP world champions. Let's take the current grid in MotoGP right now. There is currently 11, that's right, 11 riders on the grid, and all of them have come from Red Bull Rookies Cup. It's quite astonishing. There's other ex-Red Bull Rookie Cup riders that have also had successful, amazing careers in other racing series. Take Toprak Razkadioglu. He is a 2-time World Superbike champion. Maybe a 3-time this year if he wins in his final season World Superbikes, because he is going into MotoGP next season. He didn't get to MotoGP through Moto3 or Moto2. He went through a different championship and had a successful career over there. Jake Gagne and Cameron Bowlby both came from Rookies Cup. Jake Gagne won the Rookies Cup championship a long time ago, and both of them have had very successful and amazing careers in America, riding the Moto America Championship. Other riders have won World Endurance Championships, Suzuka 8 Hours. So many. There's so many Rookie Cup riders. Some of them don't make it to MotoGP, but they still have had amazing, incredible racing careers in World Superbike, Super Sport, World Endurance, Moto America, plus many other racing series. But getting back to MotoGP, obviously, like I said, 11 riders currently on the grid are, you know, ex-Rookie Cup riders, ex-Rookie Cup champions. For example, Jorge Martin, who's the current MotoGP World Champion, he came from Rookies Cup. Joan Mir, who's a former MotoGP World Champion, he also came from Rookies Cup. Johan Zarco was the first ever Rookies Cup champion in 2007. Not only has he won 2 back-to-back championships in Moto2, he's had a phenomenal successful career in MotoGP so far, winning 2 races, especially that incredible, amazing, emotional win in his home Grand Prix in France. It's an amazing, incredible racing series where so many Rookie Cup riders today, for example, from so many different nationalities, which is what I love about Rookies Cup, is there's so many different nationalities, there's so many, you know, next new stars coming through. Some of them are just going to have amazing, successful careers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Rookies Cup. And what is Red Bull Rookies, and why Red Bull Rookies is actually really, really important for the ladder to make it into MotoGP and to be a professional motorcycle racer in whatever racing series they end up doing. If you like this video, then hit the like button and subscribe as well. I hope you all have an amazing day out there and stay safe and healthy too. And I'll see you guys in another video.